Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in this mad landscape of Scotland. And in this episode we've come to the little coastal destination of St Cyrus, because I think at the far end of the beach here there's an old like remains of an abandoned like little cottage or whatever right on the wild coast, and also beside it there should be a big waterfall. So today I've come to find it, see what's left of some ancient history here at St Cyrus. And yeah, I'm just basically following this path which takes you between the land and the beach. I was here probably like 10 months ago or something on a wee adventure, but at that time the tide was too far in to get round, whereas today the tide's not in until I think it's like 3:15 in the afternoon. The tide comes fully in, whereas it's only 11:20 in the morning. So hopefully we'll have enough like land here that we can get round, document the old history and the cool waterfall. The only thing is it's been quite dry, so there might not be a lot of water like on the waterfall today. Anyway, the adventure's real once again folks, so let's get into it. Check this out folks, beside the path here there's a little chicken coop. Oh, there's some rare looking fluffy little chickens. That's so cool to see. It's often amazing the wee things you see along the way on these adventures, just beside a path or whatever. The air is a little bit cooler today than what it's been this last week. It's just been incredible sunshine here in Scotland. Today it's a little bit more overcast, but it's still perfect for exploring. Check this out folks, this is where the sandy beach leads up to the wild coastal rocky area at the top of St Cyrus Beach here, and the landscape is just breathtaking here. It's such a beautiful scene with these white sands here and the way these dark stones are within it, and then the beautiful North Sea. The tide's quite far out today, so it looks like this adventure it's definitely going to be possible. I just have to navigate to the end of the sands through all these rocks. Here's an interesting historical detail here on the beach. This big white chunk, apparently this is actually an old lump of fat out of an old shipwreck, and last time I was here months ago this was a lot bigger and it was a big square, and apparently it used to be within like a wooden section of the ship, a big chunk of fat, and then once the shipwreck was at the bottom of the sea and it rotted away, stuff like this comes out, comes to the surface years later and gets washed ashore in a storm. And it's just insane to see it here on the beach, a little bit of shipwreck history out here. Check this out here folks, this is like another landscape. There's like caves and stuff leading on in. But I'm going to try and be quick here because if the tide is coming in, I'm wanting to get around this bit of land before that time. So I've just navigated that crazy bit of land there folks, and I have to be quick because the tide is literally just about this piece of land. But in the distance I can now see this incredible waterfall and little abandoned cottage. And it's honestly been probably like 3 or 4 years since I've even been here on a video. And like, it's just a madness to often navigate these landstone. The bit I had to climb around there was just crazy. I'll record it on the way back. And now I'm just making my way over these slippy rocks the best possible route. I can hear the waterfall. It's quite loud. It must be clattering, crashing down off the top of that hill. Check this out folks, for an incredible scene right here. I can see there's actually like a sewage pipe or whatever coming out under a cement ridge there. But apart from that, it's just a beautiful scene out here. And the noise of this waterfall coming down off the hill here, it's just incredible. Look at the colour at this time of year as well with all these plants. The whole hill here is just colourful. Look at these weird looking things here. And this is just some incredible paradise scene right here. I love little corners of Scotland like this. It's just beautiful landscapes. And then to see a little house or an abandoned ruin within it, and just imagine a little family or whatever used to stay in there. That was probably a fishing community, or like a fishing family of its era, probably way back in the 1700s, maybe right into early 1900s. There would have been somebody staying in this house. Most likely there would have been more earth and grass growing around the front, but as the years progress, stuff like that wears away with the sea. And we've seen that other places as well on adventures, where there's houses like that right on the edge of their own existence, pounded from the North Sea every storm. And just check this incredible waterfall flowing down over the natural bedrock. And it's an incredible mixture of like sedimentary bedrock but also volcanic bedrock in this area. Wow folks, what a scene right there. The waterfall of St Cyrus. And like I say, it's difficult to get here. If the tide's in or whatever, it's hard to navigate around the side there. Look at this, an old railway sleeper. Wow, we've made it. The little cottage. Yeah, last time I came here the tide was so far in I had to go on a separate adventure. But a different bit of history which is also visible from here is the little castle remains which perches on the corner of that rock. And it just looks like a tiny little tower kind of bit now, and you can imagine how much more land must have been there way back in the early like 1300s and before it, when they were able to build a castle on that land, and now it's gone. You can only imagine in maybe like another 700 or 1000 years how this area here may be totally gone, and even history like this will be just away in the sea. And that's how often videos like this exploring document these little buildings at a certain time in their life when they're still standing. The generations before us didn't have the ability to come and document these rare places and these wild remote locations. Wow, this is so special to see. You can see the foundation of the house built there, and you can just imagine how much land's actually gone from here now. I'm just thinking the front door must have been in some of these areas. It looks like the stone is super worn here, and I'm not sure if that's because it was the front door or if it's just the coastal weather. Yeah, this is so interesting to see. There's always so much like different little places to explore. This one's had a little cupboard in there with a fireplace on the end wall. And look at the windows, they're so narrow. They're almost like what you see in the castles with the little firing slots. And you can still see the old render on the wall here, which features in a lot of Scottish houses that I record all over the place, all the way from the coast to the glen. That was what they did to seal the building at a certain time. And then years later, in the probably 1800s and 1900s, they used to line it with the wood. But I believe this place has probably been abandoned since at least the early 1900s or whatever. Similar to the abandoned houses at the coast at like Bodden and places like that. It was all little fishing communities that was probably thriving at one time. There was maybe even some other little houses here now that's totally gone. And you can imagine that would be the case when you consider the castle's been up there on the mound. And now it's just luckily standing on a pinnacle of rock. It was maybe the only part of the castle foundation that was like on the strongest bit of rock. There's also famous castles like Dunnottar Castle and stuff further up the coast, so it's like this area of Scotland's really historical and ancient as far as these old buildings go. And the landscape to get to them, folks, it's just mad. It's a madness for sure. So I see somebody's been camping here and they've had a wee fire within the walls of here, and it must be a beautiful camping spot. But I do believe that the tide comes to right, like where this wood's sitting right here. So it would be a bit scary if it was like a high tide and you were camping here. The water would be coming right up to the edge of your sleeping bag. Yeah, the edge of here is just so eroded. I'm being careful not to go too close. But I am wanting to kind of See what's up the side. Oh, the wee, like, tiny little narrow windows. That must have been because often the winds were strong and the temperature's cold. So the windows like that were designed to keep the house warm, but just let in a bit of light. But then this house, little cottage, may have originally been related to some of the estate of this old castle up here. So that's also interesting to theorise, because there is some interesting stone carving or like detail. You can imagine how grand this must have looked. Look at the carving on the end of there. I'm not sure how well it comes out with the bright sky behind it, but the rock's been properly shaped and crafted, and that's what we'll love to see. You can imagine how perfect the roof and stuff was back in the day. The erosion around those windows is just incredible, and that's caused by the wind often getting funneled down into that one area. The old lintel stones and stuff just look mad, like the way they're eroded. And the sound of the waterfall at this spot, it's just an idyllic coastal spot. I'll go to the edge of these rocks here and we'll take a look up at the castle, because I've never really documented it from this angle, I don't think, on the channel before. And it's a 2-in-1 adventure right here, folks. 3-in-1, I should say. The waterfall, the cottage, and then this incredible castle perched here on the side of this hill. And then to top it all off, we're just exploring this incredible seascape today. This area of the coast's almost like white sands mixed with the rugged rocks. And some of the little coves has just got all these pebbles and things within them. The different colours of the rocks and stuff there are just incredible to see. Check this out, folks, what an angle. There is a slight breeze coming down here today, and I do apologise for that in the audio. But just check out this castle, balanced on the edge of the incredible rocky coastal landscape. Wow, it's just mad, crazy, unforgiving wilderness here. And the sea is just so deep, but it's clear. You can see the rocks down at the bottom, and you can see these massive rocks disappearing down into the depths. And through the week I was actually on a coastal walk, just not on a video, and I noticed there was moon jellyfish in the water for the first time this year, folks. Moon jellyfish have been sighted in the coastal waters here, and say if you get stung by one of them, if you're swimming or whatever, it's super painful. And they've got one of the most potent stings in the world, which makes them one of the most lethal jellyfish in the world. But you do get them here, and I've seen them and documented them last year and stuff. But it's crazy to see them going about in the water, animals like that. But yeah, it's almost like a madness to explore the nature side of things with this crazy history hidden within it. Sometimes you hate to go the craziest routes to see the best angles of things like that. It's super dangerous. If you come from the top path, you can get to the castle wall, but it's almost like not worth it because it's so dangerous on the rocks. That's how it's cool to come at this angle and see it from here. Wow. It's mad how all that stuff just turns back to nature. The rocks will be at the bottom of the sea now, worn away. And the same thing's going to happen to this wee cottage. Some days when there's mad storms, that waterfall is properly flowing, like, but today it's just flowing to like a trickle because we've had super dry conditions. Look at this is like snail heaven right here, folks. That's what I mean about the sort of wildlife that's like underfoot or all around. Sometimes once you take like a closer look, you actually realise there's just things everywhere. Another detail with this little abandoned cottage, you can see how the finer stone's been used at the corners and on the edges, round the windows and round the doors. They always used like finer stone, whereas the other stone the building's built with is just like the rough stone that would have been lying in this area. And that's the same as a lot of Scottish architecture from those ancient times. It probably had the little, maybe originally when this place was built, the reason the windows is like that wide is possibly because there was no glass and stuff at that time. They maybe just had a wee wooden shutter or whatever that they would open and close, depending on the conditions. but the windows are just super small, and like it was maybe even updated and like upgraded as the years went on, but there's definitely no like electricity and things down at a place like this. So you can imagine them just sitting in there with their little candle or whatever burning, maybe waiting on their family coming back from a fishing trip or whatever. They would have the tea made. Look at that there. That stone's like a funny colour. It's like a browny orange colour with the pure green throughout it. Yeah, this has been so cool to see. And the earth below it, you can almost see how it's just built up there, and it's so fragile. Kind of areas of land like that, they're just, it'll get worn away and away until it's back to the solid bedrock. And that's how the east coast of Scotland looks like this in a lot of places. You can just imagine little communities and things that might have been built. If that's just one remaining house from a wee estate owned by that castle there. A lot of these countryside locations as well next to the sea were obviously popular for the fishing communities, and you often see the evidence of that when you're walking. You can see like chunks of metal or like loops stuck into the rock, and that was where they used to tie their boats. This is a cool waterfall because it actually drops down twice, falls twice, but all the rocks are just pure green from the water running on them constantly. And sometimes if the light just hits that right, it's an incredible scene. Yeah, once again it's like ancient Scottish history mixed with wild Scottish nature. And once again I've been able to document it on the channel. I think last time I was here on a video, I didn't even speak on the videos. It was just absolute years ago. Yeah, it's just magical. That's almost like a painting you could have on your house wall, or a picture from a Scottish calendar. This is basically a video postcard of some incredible Scottish locations on this channel. And just look how some of these harder rocks have been left as the sea erodes around them and takes away the soil. Sometimes the shapes and formations of these rocks are just mad, like you get arches and land bridges. Insane spots. Anyway, let's head back around this bit. I have to actually climb between these rocks and over like a rock pool to get back out of here. So let's go for it, folks. Let's leave this waterfall and cottage in peace until the next explorer comes round this way. But if anybody does come around here, they have to watch that the tide doesn't come in and like trap them in this corner, or they have to go up the top of the hill, and it's quite a steep slope to climb up. So check it out, folks. This is actually my route here, and you can see the sea is pure clear here, and it just looks beautiful, but it's actually right up to the edge of these rocks. And we climb this way because this is the easiest route out of here. But as you can see, if the water rose like half a foot here, this route wouldn't even be possible. I can see some little fish just at the edge there. Check this out, folks. It's almost like going to a different world when you come to a place like this. I didn't actually record climbing through there because there was literally people standing right at the end. They were asking how far you could get round, but I was saying the tide comes in so quick. It was a bit risky to climb over that way. Check this out though. There's actually a cave here. Let's have a look in the cave, we've got time. It's a massive cave. I think when I've come here previously, there's actually been, like the sea's been coming fleeing in here. Wow. I'm coming pretty far, and that just shows this mission's got everything, folks. Caves, waterfalls, abandoned houses and buildings. There's been a dog away in here. I'm so far under this hill. I better stop going in. Wow. This is just absolutely mad, folks. I'll turn around so you can see. That was the noise of the torch hitting the camera there, folks. I need to be more careful. Yeah, check that out for a scene right there. It's just absolutely mad to see something worn like so far under the ground. A place like this though is just so busy. There's just people everywhere. Whoa, there's a crazy like red, something growing on the wall there. Like a red mossy stuff. Insane, folks. There's so many beaches like this in Scotland. They're just incredible for exploring. Check this out, folks. Look what I found here. Somebody's left a fire here burning on the sand. Like what? This is extremely irresponsible right here. Look, that's properly burning. Which I should really put it out, because look, there's nobody here. So I should really just throw sand into there right now. I think I'm going to do it, folks, because I've seen fires like this going out of control before. So I just extinguished that fire to the best of my ability, folks. But if you're ever at the beach and you've got a fire, always extinguish it fully before you leave the area. Because at this time of year, the grass and stuff at the back of the beach is so dry, and so is the driftwood. It just starts burning ferociously, and it can just wipe out even houses and stuff, people's livelihoods or businesses at the top of the hill. So it's important to like clean stuff like that up when you're finished. There was a couple there at the far end of the beach, and they were kind of having a look at the fire too and agreeing it was irresponsible, but it looks like the worst of the fire is out now. Shout out to that couple if you're watching this video. I'm just blown away by the vastness of this beach here at St Cyrus though. It's just miles of sand, and then there's like a water estuary at the far end, and then Montrose Beach is at the other side of that, and then it continues on for absolute miles as far as kind of like Ferry Den, Oozing area. Right folks, I'm leaving this incredible beach scene behind. We came and we saw what we wanted to see, and it was an adventure which I've totally enjoyed. An incredible bit of coast mixed with the ancient history within it. A waterfall, a house, and that castle perched on the edge of the rock. Now I need to navigate these sand dunes to make my way out of this area. So this little white house here at the coast at St Cyrus Beach, this used to actually be an abandoned house, and it's a cool story because now it's been fully, like, obviously restored and getting used for modern day purposes. Whereas years ago I used to explore this back in the day, the early days of the YouTube. All these were like empty houses. This one had like an upstairs and stuff in it, and the old fireplace. I can also see there's been bits built on the end at one time. These were all like little fishery houses years ago. But I think nowadays they've been obviously renovated for modern day purposes. I'm sure there used to be like an outhouse here as well. Back in my really old videos, folks, that those houses will be on it for sure when I'm exploring. The little outhouse used to just be over there. Must have drained away into the marshes here. But those houses will probably date back to ancient times, similar to the one we explored at the far end of the beach. So I'm ending this one here, folks, as I walk past the ancient graveyard of St Cyrus with the little graveyard keeper's hut at the corner. It's been a cool adventure seeing what we've seen with the waterfall, the little cottage right on the edge of the water, as if it's going to get washed away probably in like the next couple of decades potentially. And then that castle balancing on the edge of the cliff. It was cool to get that aspect of it and look up at it from the edge of the sea. And then getting to see this incredible kind of beach seascape that we've seen today. It's just been magical, folks. Anyway, I'm going to end this one here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be back very soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.